Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to tonight's Bet on Black Pitch with a company called On Touch Go. I am Cherie, the CEO of the 10K Project. We are the largest community of investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses. We have so many new people that are coming each week into the 10K Project that I want to give you just an overview of what's going to happen tonight with regards to how we run the Bet on Black Pitch. Also, thank you to everybody who are putting your cities and states in the chat so that Bo here will know where his future potential investors are coming from. So you can see that we have people from all over the country, Bo, that are part of the 10K project. So the way that tonight is going to work is I'm going to, first of all, show you Bo's WeFunder page. So that way you are able to go and take a look at it. Also, we have someone who is going to be our admin, going to be putting the link in several times, many times into the chat so that you're able to click on that link and go directly to the WeFunder page. Bo is going to present his business to us. He has a presentation for us. He said it should take about 20 minutes or so, 15, 20 minutes. And then you are able to ask questions. Now, the way to ask questions is through the Q&A. If you put it in the chat, we probably won't see it. So please be sure to put your questions in the Q&A, and we will not leave until all the questions are asked and answered. Okay. So let me show you. I'm going to share my screen here and show you Bo's company, which is On Touch Go. It is on WeFunder right now. And Talisha is putting that link into the chat so all of you are able to see it. It is a safe. Bo is in the early birds stage of raising money. So he has a safe now, which is a simple agreement for future equity. That is what a safe means. He has his valuation here. And again, there is an early bird first look here for the first 100,000, and he already has 28,000 raised. Within the page on WeFunder, there are highlights and different pieces of information with regards to Bo's company. He has his skills here as well as his team. So you're able to research that. They do have the pitch on here. And they have more information in here as well, which Bo is going to review with us this evening. So with that, I'm going to stop my screen, and Bo, welcome, first of all, to the Bet on Black Pitch.
Thank you, Cherie, for the introduction, and I'm excited to be here and speak to all of you today and tell you guys and show you guys what On Touch Go is and the exciting way we're revolutionizing the startup landscape.
Fantastic. So I'm going to let you share your screen, and whenever you're done, I'm going to pop back on.
Alrighty. And can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. So by way of introduction, my name is Bo Sujwade. I'm the co-founder and CEO at On Touch Go. On Touch Go is disrupting the digital advertising space. And we're doing this by giving brands unprecedented access to reach captive audiences in rideshare. Simply put, we partner with rideshare drivers, so think Uber and Lyft. We provide them with a free tablet that displays advertisements to passengers, and they earn additional monthly income. So why rideshare? In advertisement, there's a metric called dwell time, which basically measures how long an audience is exposed to a particular advertisement. And due to the captive nature of rideshare and the average trip duration, we have 15 minutes of uninterrupted time with the same audiences that brands are trying to target online. And then if you look at online ads in comparison, the average dwell time is generally between 37 seconds and 80 seconds. So it's all about giving brands the ability to reach audiences and make a lasting impression using a unique channel. We use modern targeting capabilities, such as geofencing and day parting, to display the right ad at the right place at the right time in front of the right people. In this example, we have Cutie Pie's Pizza, which is a pizza restaurant in the Dallas area that did a grand opening. We geofenced certain parts of the Dallas area. So as trips were taking place there, this ad would display. And then they had a cool ad that says, "You want a piece of me," which is a funny play on words. With a QR code, you would scan that and you could order pizza for pickup or delivery. And this is just one of many examples. So how does our model work? Well, you have advertisers like Cutie Pies that pays us 3,000 or more for each campaign they run on our network. You have us, the network, that distributes the content across the screens, as well as reports back to the advertisers about how their campaign is performing. You have the driver that is earning 33% of the revenue that is generated by their tablet. And then you have the passenger. We're a value add partner in the rideshare ecosystem because we're helping these drivers to subsidize the cost of participating, right? And we all know that fuel is a hot uh, topic right now. And so our sweet spot is a driver that's doing around 300 trips per month or 75 hours of driving per month. And those drivers can expect to at least earn around $50 per month. Ad spend in the US reached $219 billion in the US in 2020. We are classified as being outdoor advertising. So outdoor advertising was 6 billion of that 219 billion. But what I like about our business model is because we're digitally enabled, unlike most of outdoor advertising, which is just like a static billboard, etc. Because we're digitally enabled, once a brand sees our product and they get excited and they want to do it, we have a relatively quick onboarding process. So I think what will happen is we'll take a larger share of the total ad spend that is majorly going to popular channels like Facebook, Google, Yelp, etc. And oftentimes when we speak to brands, they're pulling from their experimental budget to play on our network, or they're pulling from Facebook, Google, etc., which is already a healthy, strong sign. To further expand on just how massive this opportunity is, Uber alone does 1.4 billion trips per quarter. So imagine our network was in every one of these vehicles and we're making close to 50 cents every single trip. That's how massive this opportunity is. There are 24 markets in the US we're rolling On Touch Go out to. The overall goal in the next 3 to 4 years is to get 100,000 active drivers with our tablets out there. And we already have some leeway with that because one of the partners of our business already has a successful vehicle advertising platform with over 500,000 gig economy drivers. So we already have a head start and we can market to those drivers for free. So what does this all look like? So we built a proprietary end-to-end application that essentially allows you to create, plan, and launch and measure a campaign in minutes. So here, what you're seeing is a screenshot of a user who's logging into our website. They went to ontouchgo.com. They created an account so they can create a campaign. And the first screen they see is what is their goal that they're trying to achieve with the campaign. Typically, advertisers are coming to us for three things: brand awareness, store visitation, or mobile conversion. And so they'll select that goal, they'll hit next, and simply put, all they really need to do is name their campaign, upload the content that they're going to use, and select a call to action that the user is going to see on the screen, like visit location or see more information. This is my favorite feature personally of what we offer, which is the geofencing aspect. So an advertiser can create a campaign that can select one or multiple markets, whether it be Los Angeles, Miami, Chicago, New York. They can then identify street addresses that are points of interest and then select a mile radius to go along with those street addresses. So a popular example might be that we're working with a company called Grid Rival, which is essentially a Formula One sports betting app, consumer app, and we're going to geofence all the motor speedways across the nation. So that every time someone's being picked up from a essentially a NASCAR event, an example, they'll see their branding, which is extremely relevant. Or you can be a restaurant that just wants to be competitive and geofence a competitor's street during peak hours, such as lunchtime. There's so many use cases. On the measurement side, we're able to tell these advertisers what's going on a granular level. A huge reason why outdoor advertising lacks in comparison to, say, Facebook and Google's of the worlds, it's actually just the reporting side. It's not that it doesn't work. It's just that people need to be able to see in a modern marketing place metrics so they're able to discuss that internally. So we've built comprehensive measurement. We can tell an advertisers how many people have physically seen the ad. We're detecting using what is called audience measurement technology. We're detecting faces in front of the tablet, and this is all within consumer privacy. And then we're measuring eye fixation. So we can tell you how many impressions have occurred during the date range you're looking at for your campaign, what days they occurred, what hours they occurred. Um, we can tell you how much airtime your campaign has had in total, and we can tell you how long people's eyes have been fixated on your ad. So for obvious reasons, if your ad is played for 900,000 seconds and it only has 2,000 seconds of attention, it's probably not a good ad. We can even tell you gender uh, and demographic information as far as male or female, age groups. So you're able to take this data and repurpose it elsewhere. We can tell you engagement rates. So maybe you have an ad that instead of scanning a QR code for pizza, maybe they should put their um, cell phone number in order to redeem an offer. And so we can tell you how many people have interacted with that advertisement and touched the screen and how many people have opted in and break those metrics down into percentages for you. And then lastly, we have locations. And this is all about breaking down the geographic impact of the campaign in total. So if you have a campaign that's going on in Los Angeles or Los Angeles and Miami, Chicago, New York, in that example again, you can break down each market and see systemically what neighborhoods have had the most impressions. And then maybe you can repurpose that data by doing a direct mail campaign to the same people. So let's talk about traction. So we've raised $200,000 in seed capital. This was in 2020. We've successfully launched a paid pilot. We've worked with many notable brands at this point, probably close to 200. But we generated $70,000 in our paid pilot, and that was just with 25 screens in the Dallas market. And then this year, this industry has been on fire. So about 8 weeks ago, T-Mobile acquired our direct competitor, Octopus. So the probability of an exit has significantly increased, in my personal opinion. Uber then reached out and expressed interest in our platform. I can't go into all the details about that, but they've expressed doing revenue shares using our technology or our self-service application. So, the partnership with the Uber officially will continue to develop that relationship, but that's going to be huge. And again, that increases our probability of exit. And then Verizon has also stepped in because T-Mobile, right, acquired our competitor, and we're a Verizon customer. And they have essentially offered us thousands of tablets that usually retail for $400 for 99 cents each. So we don't even have to worry about the capital expenses of buying hardware. We simply need to worry about deploying the hardware and making sure we have advertisers to subsidize the cost of other expenses such as data. We already began testing our messaging as soon as some of these traction points began happening earlier this year. And within really days, but weeks, we've had all these companies you see, such as Buffalo Wild Wings, GM, Which, MC Saatchi, which is one of the largest advertising agencies in the world, express interest. And we're talking to the scopes of doing campaigns with them now. So all these, and these are just, I think, 10 out of dozens that we have traction with. And we only spent maybe a couple $100 testing communications on email marketing, and you're looking at 30,000 plus of campaign reservations already. As far as competitive advantage and competitive landscape, our direct competitors, again, are Octopus, that was just acquired by T-Mobile. You have a company called Alphi, and Firefly. And what sets us apart is number one, our cost of entry. So our competitors typically charge around $35,000 to $50,000 minimum just to get started. We're at 3,000, and ultimately, what that means is we're just able to work with a greater volume of businesses. And the reason why that is because our competitors are focused on larger accounts that can shell out, six-figure campaign budgets. So they only have to focus on a handful of customers. And what we're trying to do is encompass the greater 2 million plus B2C companies in the US. So our bigger bet is that we're going to have greater volume of customers. We're more flexible with budget, and then customers over time we're going to increase how much they spend. And we're the only self-service capable platform out of our competitors. If you want to do business with our competitors, you got to go to their website. You got to fill out a contact form. You got to wait for them to get back to you. You got to speak to that sales rep on a demo. You got to take that information, relay it back to your team. Then you got to set up another demo. Then you probably have to make the creative. They make the creative for you, and then you have to plan and roll it out. So it's a very long manual process versus ours, where you can get started in minutes if you're already ready. This is our team. Me personally, I come from a sales, marketing, and web development background prior to joining OnTouchGo. I worked at an automotive technology company where I was head of sales for a product and was vice president of sales for electronic manufacturing software company. Vince is my co-founder. He's a CTO, and prior he was the CTO of a medical startup, as well as has a marketing background. We have really stout advisors as well, people that have been on Forbes 30 under 30 for marketing and advertising, people that are venture backed by Nielsen, which is a leading authority in marketing and advertising and data analytics and general. And so we're well positioned to go into market. We just simply need to invest in sales and marketing and get things off the ground. Currently, we're raising $2 million. And so on the WeFunder, essentially what you're getting is you're getting a 20% discount on our valuation cap. So right now, if you go to WeFunder, you can invest at an $8 million valuation cap versus a 10. And that is subject to increase because in 6 days, we have another pitch in front of thousands of investors, as well as the traction we're probably going to generate next month when we open our self-service portal publicly and begin marketing to let any advertiser make a campaign reservation. So that concludes my presentation, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Well, don't forget, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. If you put them in the chat, I may miss them. So thank you, Bo. Again, Talisha is putting within the chat, Talisha is putting the link for the WeFunder campaign. So it's the10kproject.com/touch. So you're able to click on that link and go directly to the WeFunder page. The reason we're asking you to click on that link is so that we know how many people we're actually sending over to the campaign to take a look at it. So with that, we have a first question from Eleanor here. How does your program detect the ages of the writers?
Yes. So in digital outdoor advertising, we have what's called audience measurement. Excuse me. In audience measurement, essentially what it's doing is it's looking at certain points of a face. So it's like looking for wrinkles, things of that nature, and it's determining based on a preset database of 2 billion faces. This is right around where this person is. So it's all about using data. I'm not sure if you've seen Instagram filters where they have sort of the same technology where it can kind of guess your age, but these are the days and age, the days we live in, which is crazy, Minority Report technology. But this is
Well, I
why
hope they have a better algorithm for Black people, because you can't tell Black people's age just through that.
Yeah, Black doesn't crack.
Yeah. Tina is asking, oh, did you finish answering the question? I'm sorry.
Yes, if
Okay.
that helps, Elena.
Yeah. Tina is asking, can you tell us again the potential earnings for the Uber drivers?
So yes, so the Uber drivers make 33% of the ad revenues. that are generated with their tablet. So essentially, what this boils down to is us as a company, every time an ad plays, we make a cent and a quarter. So that driver's making 33% of that. So what it boils down to is if they do, our sweet spot again is a driver that's doing 300 trips per month. So what it boils down to is they're going to make around 50 bucks, $50 or more a month, and then they have the capacity to make more. And the greater bet is that as advertisers get used to advertising on our platform, there's going to be certain streets that become hot, and that's going to increase bidding to where people are willing to pay more than just a cent and a quarter for that ad time. And those drivers will then share in that revenue opportunity with us.
Great. Lorana is asking if a small business wanted to advertise and place an ad campaign, could they start in New York City or in a city in the Northeast?
So with New York's one of the planned markets. So yes, we're not in every major or not in every city in the U.S. There's only certain 24 that we looked at the metropolitan um, data and said this would probably be a good market for rideshare. So it won't be every city that is able to do this, just the more popular ones. But New York definitely, and you'll be
Right.
able to launch a campaign in minutes.
Okay. If we have other questions, everybody, don't forget to put them in the Q&A for me. So let's talk a little bit then about your, I call it a go-to-market strategy, like your 3-year, plan, with regards to what you're going to do. Can you delve a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah, certainly. So I actually think we can exit the business in 3 years, just
Mhm.
because the level of interest that's already been expressed through Uber. We've heard things such as Amazon and Lyft looking at the space right now. So for us, it's all about acquiring as much customers as possible right now to build our book of business. So
Mhm.
when it is time to exit, Uber, Lyft can simply purchase us because we already have the portfolio of business they're looking for. So when I look at the industry, there's 2 million people that work in marketing per LinkedIn. There's 350,000 that have the job title of marketing manager, and there's
Mhm.
5,500 of them that are media buyers. And those are the specific people we need to talk to,
Mhm.
which it's not going to cost us more than $500 to send them all an email. We can do that literally right now. And so, kind of the greater vision of the next year, one is to be a household name in marketing. Two, focus on scaling the business as quickly as possible. And then three, position our company to either be further integrated into mobility as a whole, meaning maybe we're not just a rideshare company 3 years from now, we're also in buses and other forms of transit, subways, or year three, position ourselves to just exit our company. So that's how I think about the 3 year strategy.
Great. And you're the person doing the sales?
We have Ileana and Miles that are helping with sales as well. I'm the only person that's doing this full time right
Okay.
now because we don't have enough capital for that.
Okay.
But yes, essentially I help with sales and I have a sales background. But as we scale now, especially now, I need to get out that bandwidth and shift my focus and attention other way, other in
Perfect.
other areas.
Definitely understand that. Dwayne is asking, how were the screens installed? Is there a security issue? Also, what's the return troubleshooting process if a driver has issues?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that. So Verizon's our strategic partner in this. So Verizon's going to handle 24/7 technical support. If a driver has an issue, they're going to call a number and they're going to speak to a Verizon rep. They already have the infrastructure for this, and that's part of what's baked into what we're paying them in our capex. So as far as the driver, they're going to get a custom branded OnTouch Go box. It's going to be nice and black and have our logo on it. They're going to open that and they're just going to install the kit. It's a simple install kit. You don't have to be a mechanic to install. It's basically a plastic headrest that sits in between the metal pieces of your headrest.
Perfect. Bernard is asking, why don't you have any Black advisors or team members with you?
We do. We have Tony Awajudu, who's director of strategy of Davita. But yeah, we actually have a lot of advisors. So if you can imagine, with a typical pitch deck, you want to keep it as concise as possible. So we didn't want to put everyone that's an advisor on our pitch deck. But the people that we do have on our pitch deck are the most relevant ones because those are the people with the most serious traction with advertisement.
Eleanor is asking, how long does an ad run and will there be multiple ads running per month?
An ad runs for 30 seconds, and typically a customer that's spending 3,000 minimum on our platform, they're going to get 240,000 impressions, and it's up to that advertiser how many impressions they want delivered in a month. So an example, that campaign for $3,000 can be for 1 month, or it can be all the way up to 12 months. So it's that's called pacing. That's going to be up to our advertiser, and it's just our job to fulfill that demand.
Okay. So you said you're raising how much money?
$2 million.
$2 million. What are you going to do with those funds?
It's largely sales and marketing. We already have the infrastructure in place. We already have the developers in place. We've done everything end to end now. It's just like letting people know we exist and making sure we can take on demand. So it's just going to be people in the office taking on these warm leads and customer service, things of that
Are
nature.
you
So
hiring? Are you hiring people?
not at this moment, right? We need to raise
Well, I
capital
mean,
first,
once
and
the
then
2
we'll.
million is raised.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so we hope that you come back then to let the community know that you're hiring as well. So,
Absolutely.
all righty then. Anybody else have questions? Definitely put those in the Q&A for us. Lorana is saying or asking, can you elaborate more on what an advertiser gets for every $3,000 ad spend?
So an advertiser is going to get 240,000 impressions, which is at or above 700,000 seconds of airtime for them. So a good use case for us, our standard customer is probably going to be in the hospitality space, and or it has been thus far, especially when we've done a paid pilot. And most of them might be a small restaurant trying to increase store traffic, and that's been something we've been successful at. So they might geofence uh, rideshare pickup zones in their district to let people know, like, hey, I exist, and here's a free appetizer if you come here right now. So when I think about On Touch Go and why we're so powerful, I actually think it's probably going to become one of the most powerful forms of advertisement we've ever seen, because once you have the data on where people are going, you can then target things that are of interest to them. And if they're in the consumer state of mind, you have the ability to literally create foot traffic in real time.
Chandra is asking, is there any upfront cost to the driver to install the screen?
No.
Uh, oh, I hope I don't mess up your name. Terashika is asking, how can this benefit those marketing real estate options, adjusters, agents, appraisers, or brokers?
Great question. I think real estate is a great fit for what we offer. We've had an apartment locating company called Smart City. They're nationwide, being one of our paid pilot advertisers. We've worked with Greystar, which is a large developer of residential housing, and we've also worked with Centurion American, which is a developer of hotels and residential and commercial housing as well. So I think real estate is a good market. And when you think of the ROI that you could get from our platform, specifically if you targeted, say, like a Uber Black, if you wanted to target high income earners, then it might make a whole lot of sense, right? You might see that out of the 240,000 impressions you get, you might get 24 customers, and that could be, 6 to 7 figures for you as a real estate agent.
Sarah is asking, how are you anticipating the impact of the rise of ride sharing costs forward slash fuel costs for a company?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And to be honest, I haven't put a whole lot of thought into that because we're not operational as far as having drivers and screens out there right now. We're in an early reservation stage, post paid pilot. But when I think about the cost of fuel, luckily we don't have to worry about that capex, because that's more something Uber and Lyft and the actual rideshare platforms have to worry about. But they already added surcharges such as fuel charges to your item, to your receipt if you're paying attention on there. So I think that's already the cost of that has already been subsidized. And luckily, I think it's going to be a positive for us, because drivers are going to naturally be searching for things online of how do I earn more money as a driver.
Right. Joyce is asking, is the screen secured to the seat? What prevents the rider from stealing the screen when they get out?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are methods of securing the device on the headrest. Now that's going to be a larger expense for us as a company if we want to provide that to the driver. However, one, the tablet's already going to be insured by Verizon, so if they are stolen, they're just automatically replaced. So it's not a large expense on our end. And then two, in our history of doing this, where we've had screens out since 2019 doing various testing, we maybe had a tablet stolen once. It's not a likely event.
Yeah. I would imagine also that Verizon probably has locators on
Right.
them and the person can be prosecuted because you would have, their face right there. So,
Right.
just a
And yeah,
thought.
you can track with mobile device management. You can track the location of the screen exactly,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to use the tablet. It's not consumer grade tablet. It's what's called it's in kiosk mode where basically you can't use it.
Right. Bernard is asking, is your service just for brick and mortar businesses or can online businesses be included in the advertising?
It's for any business besides political, religious, or adult content. They can advertise. Even we're even allowing alcohol brands to advertise. So generally, any um, advertiser or company can advertise on our platform. However, is probably best suited for consumer focused brand, right? Just from an ROI perspective, which there are 2 million plus in the US. So if you have an online e-commerce store, this is for you. We're working with multiple online businesses right now.
Great. So Eddie has a couple of questions. First, Eddie says, another great idea, another phenomenal founder. And then his questions. Number one,
Thank you.
how many tablets per vehicle and how is safe handling managed considering the current sanitary sensitive environment?
Great question. So one tablet per vehicle. And initially, so we had our paid pilot in Dallas. Dallas, and just being very transparent with you, as far as how other cities have handled the COVID pandemic, is very had a very I don't know how to phrase it. They weren't as
They weren't as tight in their regulations.
exactly. So it
Mhm.
was basically the best testing ground for us. Obviously, passengers don't have to touch the screens. We provided our drivers with hand sanitizer. A lot of them provide that anyway. We can provide drivers with cleaning solutions to clean the screens, but ultimately, because we can't physically be there on site with the tablet all the time, that's going to be a decision that the consumer is going to have to make to best self-guard themselves, and that's going to be a decision that drivers ultimately going to have to make to best self-guard themselves as well. But we can definitely share best practices and cleaning solutions with the drivers if they request it.
Oh, I thought you said something about the advertiser being able to allow the person to put in their phone number. That doesn't go
Right.
into into the tablet itself.
Yes. So you would be able to on some advertisements, you're able to touch the screen and then enter your
Okay, I think
name,
that
your
that's what
email.
Eddie was referring to is if they
Right.
have that as their call to action. So um, number two is I can see this technology doing really well if able to adjust ads along with local events. It could land major dollars. Is this on the radar?
Yes. So originally, that's a great question because originally, why we created the company is we live downtown in Dallas, and we're always using Uber and Lyft to go out. And one day, we went to a popular bar called Happiest Hour, which is right by the Dallas Mavericks Stadium, and it was dead. It was like Friday night, it was dead. And we said, it'd be great if our Uber could recommend where to go based on where people are right now. And so, yes, that's in mind. That type of technology. That's why we built the self-service capability because if there's a live event going on right now, then that live event or venue place can just go to our website and launch that ad right within minutes. So and then how we market that and get more efficient with live events, there's probably a play that could be had with um, a Rock Nation, an example, or a Ticketmaster, and we can create some demand side platforms, what they call demand side platforms, with that and trickle that into our network.
Perfect. Kevin is asking, what due diligence have you conducted to ensure that no privacy laws, if any, are violated with the video imaging capability of the tablets?
Great question. So, audience measurement is already widespread. So, if you more than likely, if you're in an airport and you walk by a digital screen, it's already using the same type of technology and knows what age you are, knows what gender you are. And the reason why I bring that up is the industry is actually ahead of U.S. privacy laws. We're in compliance with European privacy laws, which are way more stricter than US laws. So we already check all the GDPR boxes and consumer privacy boxes with our audience measurement capability. This has been well documented, and there's guidelines and best practices that the industry has set forth with our associations.
Right. Lorena is asking, are ad rates measured in terms of the numbers of hours the ad is up on the screen for an advertising company? Or can you explain what you mean by number of impressions? Does that mean the ads we run within a week's time or month?
So an ad only plays when a human face is detected in front of the screen, and that is what an impression is. So when a customer is signing up for a campaign, it's again 240,000 plus impressions. We're saying we guarantee you we will detect 240,000 faces in front of the screen, or else your ad is not going to play.
Okay. Kenneth is asking if you have any patents.
We're working on patents for our self-service application. We have a lot of proprietary technology in there and algorithms in there, but we haven't officially filed a patent yet.
Right. Other questions, everybody? Don't forget to put your questions in the Q&A section so that we are able to ask those questions. So I'll ask another question, and I see Sarah has a question here. So are there any companies that you're like, wow, if we could get that company, it'd be like, slam dunk, or, something that would be really great, aspirational?
Um, Franchise co-ops. So I was very excited, um, and this speaks to how excited brands are about
Mhm.
this. When we sent Buffalo Wild Wings a message, they responded back, I want to say 2 hours from the original email. And we spoke to the head of the, I spoke to one of the head of the franchises, then spoke to the head of all of Buffalo Wild Wings marketing, which is a larger agency, and they want to do a franchise co-op, meaning every single Buffalo Wild Wings in the country would pay into a co-op. So those are the most exciting opportunities for us because we can kill a larger fish just by going to one single point of contact. And every franchise we've talked to is going in that direction. And because our cost of entry is $3,000, they actually kind of laugh at it on the call because they're used
Mhm.
to spending way more for a billboard or equivalent type of advertisement. So those are
Yeah.
the most exciting examples. There's many of them, but they fall in the quick service restaurant space that I would be excited for.
Fantastic. Sarah is asking, do you have a way of monitoring if the service is actually online once installed? Like, is the driver just rolling around with it off?
Great question. So we have what's called network health, and we actually monitor how long the screen is on. And then on
Mhm.
top of that, we actually have a autonomous alert system for drivers, and we use platforms like Twilio to send them a text message. So if our network health realize this screen has only been on for X amount of hours, and it's the first week of the month, they're not on pace to do what we agreed on. Then they'll get an alert. Hey, turn on your tablet or what's going on. And then if they're unresponsive to that, then we can send in human intervention from a customer service standpoint. But yes, we can see all that information very granularly.
Right. So Perez has two questions here. The first question, will there be a more inclusive incentive to advertise local Black businesses to consumers? Also, how will the local community be incentivized to join the on-demand service? So basically local businesses, what's the outreach?
Yes. So I'm very passionate about helping local businesses. That's why we have a low cost of entry because those
Mhm.
are the ones that are the greatest benefactors of this form of advertisement. For the minority front, we've spoken to brands in Dallas such as Ego Tequila, which is I think one of the first Black-owned tequila brands and female-owned tequila brands in either in the state of Texas or in the country. And we offered that advertiser 50% off our pricing, right? So we're happy to help minority advertisers when those opportunities make sense, and when those opportunities arise. And I'm sure we'll be able to do some very creative things because ad networks typically aren't 100% sold out. So we'll always have some surplus ad inventory that we can give back to organizations, foundations, and so forth. And was there a second part of the
Yeah, there's a
question that I
second
missed?
part of the question. I haven't read it yet. Yes. So Perez is also asking, are there plans to have this service as an app that the customer can directly download to their phone so that when they're walking around an area, I guess they're able to see the advertising?
Yes, so we've thought about that. It's on our product roadmap, but for way out. When you think of a consumer application, the cost to acquire a user to download an app and then the cost to get them repeatedly back onto the app is not a good business model for an early stage startup that's trying to solve, multiple things at once with moving
Mhm.
parts. More than likely, we'll probably be acquired before we even get to that stage. I think that's why I get excited by Uber or Lyft acquisition because they already have an app, right? Uber and
Yeah.
Lyft that people are using.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for mentioning Dashable. Dashable was one of our first Bet on Black pitches. And I'll talk to Tawana about introducing you two because I think that there could be great synergy there. They work with
Okay.
local businesses and um, there could be a great synergy there with regards to the marketing and sales that you're doing and what they've been doing. So Anonymous is asking, saying, sorry for being late. No problem. Welcome. Catching up, you mentioned a facial recognition component to turn on the device. Are you storing some type of facial recognition information?
That's illegal. You can't store people's pictures of people's faces, and even when we're analyzing the face, it's blurred out. Like in real time, it's blurred out. So we don't have an I can't go to our server, admin server, and look at real time people's faces. That's not a
Mhm.
reality. And then two, I can't look at people's faces in the back seat. Right. That's all we're doing is analyzing light points, just like when you open your iPhone and you take a selfie, it already detects your face. Right. So that's essentially similar technology.
Okay, all right, perfect. Everybody, don't forget to put your questions in the Q&A. Put your questions in the Q&A section for us. So also, thank you so much to Talisha for continuously putting in the campaign link. So you're able to click the10kproject.com/touch, and it'll take you to the We Funder page right now. Bo is doing a SAFE, which stands for a simple agreement for future equity. Right now, there is a 20% discount on the valuation. But research his team, research him, the things that he said. You can rewatch this pitch. I hopefully have enough energy to stay up tonight to send it out to you. If not, it'll be out before I go to the gym tomorrow morning. So, so that you all are able to watch that. And he's got some exciting things happening. So we got another question here from Anonymous. Follow up to an earlier question. Since there is only one screen, does the driver ensure that the screen is relocated in events when there is a single passenger driver? Sorry, rider.
So
Sorry.
great question. We installed the tablet on the right, the shotgun seat essentially
Mhm.
behind it. And the reason why we do that is specifically from our research and spending time with drivers, 9 out of 10 times that's where people are going to sit. It's actually kind of invasive of a driver's security. When you are the only person in that car and you sit behind them, it's kind of like
Mhm.
frowned upon, at least in the Dallas area. So we only put it there. And from that, and the reason why we do that is we're at least able to detect two faces sometimes between the first seat in front of it and the middle seat.
Yeah. Any other questions? Feel free to put them into the Q&A. You all have asked a lot of great questions this evening as well. And yes, Talisha is always flying shotgun, always, always. So Okay, well, I'm going to, if you all still have questions, definitely put them in. Bo, is there anything that you haven't said this evening as people have been asking questions, things like that, that you want to let the family know?
Number one, thank you for this opportunity. You certainly didn't have to do this, and I appreciate just being able to speak to the community. Being in Dallas, DFW, it's not the most venture friendly. It's trying. It's not the most venture friendly city in the country. It's not Silicon Valley or New York and Boston. So I just appreciate the opportunity to speak with your network and show them what OnTouchGo is. And if there's
Yeah,
more opportunities to collaborate with either startups that are in the 10K portfolio or startups that your members individually know, please let me know. I'm open to all ears, and I always like to partner with companies when possible.
perfect. Anonymous has another question. May have missed this one, but how are these devices being powered? Are the drivers charging the devices?
It's connected to a great question. It's connected to the cigarette port. So, like, depending on uh, if the driver has it in the um, front cabin or in the one of the ones in the back in the middle console, depends on the length of cable we'll send them.
Great. Fantastic. Any final questions that people have? Definitely put it in the Q&A for us so we're able to uh, answer those questions for you. We're going to hang out just another minute or two, Bo, just to make sure that people have their questions answered. So, yes, thank you everybody for joining us this evening. I hope that you found it worthwhile. You all know that we always ask you to share the campaigns as well. Share them with your family and friends. You can put them on social media. You all know that whenever I talk about the Bet on Black pitch, we see Black Excellence every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Take your time this weekend and sit down with your kids in front of the big screen TV and put this up and show them Black excellence like this. We have another question that has come through, but these are some of the great ways that we're able to engage our children with entrepreneurship. So, another question here from Anonymous. In your opinion, what is stopping Uber or Lyft from starting their own company and replicating your business?
Uh, Great. Well, that's the reason why they reached out. Is we assume from the okay. Let me rephrase. From the offset of creating this company, we have created it and strategized with that scenario in mind. Because how are we going to create a company and sell it to a company that wasn't going to do the model, right? And the reason why Uber reached out is because they're interested in the model. Now the question is, who are they going to target if they go out into our industry? And 10 times out of 10 in this industry, when you start a ad network in digital outdoor advertising, you're just talking to the big agencies, and you're telling the agencies, we want your portfolio of accounts from McDonald's, Nike, and automatically pour X amount of their budget into our network. You don't have a direct relationship with each individual advertiser. And that's why we're different. We also have a monthly recurring stickiness to our business model. Usually you're just selling one transaction in advertisement. So to answer your question with Uber, if they went into the market, they'd be targeting their biggest, let's say, Uber Eats accounts like McDonald's. McDonald's would buy what's called share voice, which means they don't want any other restaurant advertising because they already understand the concept's going to work, which means the local businesses can't even advertise. Good luck. And so our bet here is, if we get the greater majority of businesses that can advertise versus just relying on one or two big accounts to pay for all this infrastructure that we have, then at some point, either A, we're just going to continue to make money with those advertisers, or two, someone's going to say, hey, we really can't just rely on McDonald's and Nike to run Uber's ad platform. Let's just use you. And in the worst case scenario, if Uber, Lyft, and Amazon do this, that's actually great for us, because at the end of the day, our profit margin, our gross profit margin is 52%. By the time we're done with all of our expenses, we're at maybe 28%. If we just did a profit share model with Uber, saying like, hey, you guys buy the tablet, you take care of the technology, we'll just tie our demand into your platform, meaning our advertisers can still advertise through our platform, which this technology is called programmatic. It's widespread right now. It's already out. That's how most networks do business anyway. then our profit margin would just be 25%. We'd only lose 3%. So we've thought about this through and through, and either way, we're going to come out with a win.
Lorana is asking how much is required as an initial investment. Lorana, if tell me, do you mean like what's the minimum investment for us as investors in the equity crowdfunding campaign? Can you like reword that question for me, please? Wayne is asking, is Jumio one of your competitors?
I'm the rideshare advertising company from New York is just asking for clarification. I think they were bought by Uber long ago.
Okay. Anonymous is asking, with regards to the connection to the cigarette port, then the fees for the service may go up with gas prices.
Our pricing structure is not correlated to the cost of gas whatsoever because the driver is paying $0 for our platform. It's essentially, it's like, put this on your screen, you're going to drive anyway, and it's going to show your passengers relevant ads and you're going to make money. That's our whole play. That's why drivers do this. It has nothing to do with their gas. If they're not going to drive for Uber and Lyft, they wouldn't have our screen anyway to begin with. So we filter our drivers and we monitor and we make sure how much they're driving, and then we monitor on top of that how much they're driving anyway. So if they're not driving because of gas, they wouldn't even have our tablet. It is a serious thing that's impacting a certain percentage of drivers. How much, I don't know, but again, I've already seen that Uber subsidized the cost of fuel. If you order an Uber, they have a fuel charge. It might not be applicable in some municipalities because of different regulations and so forth that happen on a local level, but at least in Dallas, that's already been subsidized.
Yeah. So Lorana was asking about the minimum investment for like each of us on your WeFunder campaign.
$100. I believe the WeFunder platform allows, if you're non-accredited, allows you up to 2,000. If you're accredited, unlimited. So feel free. $100 or $1,000 or $2,000. We're extremely happy. Our goal is to get to 100,000. And we'll see what happens with this other group in about 6 days.
Perfect. All righty then, everybody. Well, those are the questions for the evening. Bo, thank you so much. If people want to, you're doing your research and you have more questions for Bo, go to the WeFunder page and ask the questions there. There's a place for you to ask the questions. The reason you want to ask the questions there is actually by law, as well as, so the way that the SEC works is because Bo has like an actual campaign, if you send him random questions by email and things like that, the SEC prefers for those questions to go on the campaign page and for Bo to answer those questions publicly. So to protect Bo, and we're here to protect all of our founders, we want you to go to the WeFunder page if you have additional questions, but ask your questions. Ask your questions. Make sure you're making a strong decision for your portfolio, whether or not you're going to invest in OnTouchGo. So with that, Bo, thank you so much. Talisha, thank you so much as well. And hope everyone has a great evening and we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.